Morning, everybody. It's a little after almost 11:20 on Friday morning, November 8th, and Magnolia and I have just left South Edisto, South Carolina, where we anchored yesterday. And after coming in from 134 nautical mile all-nighter from North Myrtle Beach, we left the Little River inlet there and came into South Edisto just at daybreak. We got it's a few miles up the South Edisto River there. That's the town of South Edisto in the distance, and there's a nice anchorage up there, and I've used it a number of times. And the inlet is fairly easy to get in and out. There's only 2 green markers in the inlet, but there are some hairy spots. I think it was low tide when I came in yesterday morning, and waves were breaking all around me as I threaded my way through that inlet, and so that was a bit gnarly. And plus, I took a video earlier. I haven't posted it yet, of the daylight portion of that run, and was going to take another one after dark when we got closer to Charleston, and yeah, conditions were not as they were forecast. It was supposed to have been 3-foot waves, and initially they were 3 to 5 feet. Well, as the day progressed into evening, it was more 5 to 8 feet, and we were getting beat up pretty bad, so I was basically holding on for dear life. Didn't have too many thoughts about taking another video, so I'm sorry about that. It was a long night, just put it that way, but there wasn't much chance of me falling asleep though, because it was rocking and rolling, and everything inside the boat that wasn't nailed down was a projectile, and so I mean stuff was everywhere. And, there was a bit of a mess. I almost lost the radar post. I think you see it, this bolt right here. That one of the support struts. It's mounted at the bottom, then it has that strut that supports it that way, and then that little short strut that keeps it from going that way. And anyway, that bolt had backed out and fell out at some point, and I heard a clang, and I turned around and looked, and it was hanging out there, and so I grabbed it, pulled it back in, and used a stern line, lashed it back to the dinghy davits. So that was exciting, and evidently I didn't have the dinghy at the proper height when I secured it, and it was just making a racket. And plus it was raining. It rained off and on all night. That was fun. But anyway, we made it, and so we skipped the vast majority of South Carolina, and what we're doing today and tonight is skipping the rest of South Carolina and all of Georgia by going offshore. So this is about 130 nautical mile, 21.5 hour at 6 knot trip, and we're going from South Edisto, South Carolina to Fernandina Beach, Florida. is at the, well, basically it shares inlet with St. Mary's, Georgia, so it's right at the Georgia-Florida line. So anyway, that will get us to Florida, and I was concerned about, well, maybe I ought to wait and see what Raphael is doing, but it looks like he's gonna head over towards Mexico and hang out there, so I'm not too worried at this point. We get to Fernandina Beach and probably get fuel. I put 15 gallons that I had in the deck jerry cans in this morning before I left. So I'm in good shape for this trip and could probably make it to St. Augustine without refueling. So I'll play that by ear and see how we go. But for those of you that get a kick out of this sort of thing, I made it from Solomons, Maryland to Belhaven, North Carolina, which is below Albemarle Sound and above Pamlico Sound, without stopping for fuel, and I burned, I believe, 37 gallons of diesel for that portion of the trip. And then from Belhaven to I believe it's St. Elizabeth Marina, near Southport, North Carolina, below the Cape Fear River and north of North Myrtle Beach, so near the North Carolina-South Carolina border. And I stopped and got fuel, and I think that was like 26 point something gallons there. So up to that point, I burned 45 gallons roughly of diesel, and but I think I burned probably 22 gallons on this last overnighter, and we'll burn close to that on this one. So I'll definitely need to fill the onboard tank and my jerry cans again before I get too far down into Florida. I'm hoping I'll be able to put the sails up here shortly. I'm going to be making a turn in about like a mile and 3/4. That red circle is a mile range marker there, and so we get up past, this is the entrance to St. Helena Sound, and I used that last year to go into Beaufort, South Carolina, and went up in there and anchored next to Monkey Island. I never saw any monkeys, but supposedly there is a colony of monkeys out there somewhere along this shore here, I believe. But anyway, the wind is not cooperating right now. As you can see, it's pretty close to being on the nose, but once I make this turn up here, I'm hoping that we'll be able to maybe even get the mainsail up. I'm ashamed to admit that have come all this way, and you know, I unzipped the stack pack cover for the mainsail and just have sail ties holding the sail in the cover when I left Solomons, and I have not had the mainsail up yet. So this done some motor sailing with just the jib out, because that's easy to furl and unfurl, but sad to say, I've not had that mainsail up yet. So I'm hoping today's the day. for that. It's a beautiful day out here today. It's in the I think mid 70s temperature wise, and forecast was for 2-foot waves out here, and I think that's pretty close to, some might be 3. But it's a big improvement over what it was Wednesday and Wednesday night and Thursday morning. So what a difference a day makes. This is the best forecast looking at windy and predict wind for offshore movement until basically late next week, I think. I'm toying with the idea of spending the night probably at anchor at Fernandina Beach, and then going back out the inlet there and going offshore, just a day hop down to St. Augustine, but that depends on the forecast, I think. We'll see how this transpires, but it is much nicer offshore because you're not worrying about all the shallow spots on the ICW and boats wanting to pass every 5 minutes. So you have a lot more of a sense of freedom, and you can actually get away from the wheel for fairly long periods of time, do other things. But anyway, I will try and take another video this evening. I don't know whether it'll be dark or not yet. I haven't figured that out. When we get to Tybee Roads, which is the channel into Savannah, Georgia, but it gets dark pretty early, so it could very well be in the dark. So I'd fire up the radar. That's always fun. I was playing dodge with a big fuel ship, some sort of liquid. I don't know whether it was oil or gas or what, but it was hard to tell on AIS. And of course, it was pitch dark. Early in the morning. Crossing Charleston channel entrance, but I could see him on AIS, I could see him on the radar, and I just slowed down and let him get by, and he was coming out the channel, and I was just trying to cross it, but I didn't want to cross it in front of him. I think he was moving at 14 knots, and I was doing maybe 6.5. Anyway, alright, I don't know whether you can see it in the distance. I think that's red nun up there is where I turned. So heard that creaking noise there. There was a lot of that going on night before last. Poor old Magnolia was not happy. She was moaning and groaning up a storm, but I wasn't terribly thrilled either. But I checked all the rigging, and everything seems to be holding together. So. But I think that was probably the worst or the roughest passage that we've had on any of our trips. This is the 4th trip down the coast. That was pretty gnarly. I know on the way down last year, going in Fernandina Beach inlet, outside of that and going in the inlet was pretty rough, as I recall, but it wasn't as bad as this was. So anyway, beautiful sunny days, flowing waves with a good 6.5 second period between them, and so that's not bad. I'll take this any day over what the other night was. Anyway, I need to charge the battery on this thing and then get ready to make this turn and hopefully get some sails up. All right, that's all for now. Hope everyone's doing well, and I'll probably post this video alongside the one that I took earlier on the Little River to South Edisto. Good evening, everyone. It's about 5:45. I guess it's still, today's Friday. We've come about 48 nautical miles and a little over 7 3/4 hours, I guess. So we're about a little over a third of the way through this trip. And it's been good weather all day. The seas are pretty much as you see them, or have been as you see them the whole day. So that's good, but we had to run the radar all day because we keep running into fog banks out here, and that's made things a little bit interesting. So there have been some boats out here that have not been broadcasting AIS and picked them up on radar, and can't quite tell what they're doing. And one, I think, was a fishing boat. And I think, well, he started out about a mile ahead of me and then came around the port side and started coming in behind me. And of course, I couldn't see him except on radar. And there was another sailboat about a mile and a half back behind me, so I called them and warned them that I didn't know whether they had radar or not. Warned them that there was a boat between us. Keep their eyes open. But we all made it through that okay. So I guess he didn't have a radio on either, or he could have responded. Anyway, I thought I'd go ahead and do the second part of this video before full dark, and I get into coffee guzzling mode to stay up for the next 12-14 hours. I've slowed down a little bit. Was running at 2,500 RPMs, and it was gonna get us at Fernandina a little too early, so it was probably doing 6.5, 6.7 knots. So I've slowed it down to 2,200 RPMs. We're still doing right at 6 knots. May have to slow it down some more. Low tide at Fernandina Beach at the inlet there. I think it's like St. Mary's or something inlet, because it serves St. Mary's, Georgia, and Fernandina Beach, Florida. But I think low tide is right at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. So I'd like to try and come in that inlet on the ebb for slack tide right before it changes. And I did accomplish one thing today, though. I mentioned that my iPad Pro had crapped out on me, and I was trying to do a hard reset on it, and had gone online and looked up how to do it. Push the up volume, down volume, and then hold the sleep button. And I did that multiple times. It screen never came up, and I did it for like 10 minutes out here in the cockpit earlier. So then I got thinking that, well, maybe it's not charged. So I went down and plugged it into another power cord that I had, and the screen opened up on it. And so I went ahead and did a factory reset on it, but I have to have a Wi-Fi connection to reinstall all the apps and stuff. And I just checked, and I'm 7.5 miles offshore, or I was when I checked. And Starlink is enforcing their terms of use as far as whether they consider you on land or not. So on the last overnighter, I lost Wi-Fi because I was like 12.5 miles offshore, and Starlink said, "Oh, it looks like you're on the water. You need to log into Starlink and change your account to a maritime account, which is more money or something like that." So I just shut it off. And when I was at Edisto, South Edisto at anchor, turned it back on, and it worked fine. So, but anyway, in last month, October, they increased the price for the regular package or service. It was $150 a month. Now it's $165, and they're enforcing a lot of the stuff that they had not been in the past. Plus, they have a 2-month time limit that you can spend in a country other than the one that you registered the service in. So a lot of people are wondering, well, if you spend 3 months in the Bahamas, are they going to shut you down over there? And they say you have to change your address or change your subscription address. Anyway, we'll see how all that works out. I got Starlink for this sort of thing because at the time you could connect anywhere. We'll see. Well, this tonight's a big difference so far over the conditions Wednesday night, Thursday morning. What a difference a day makes. Oh, let me show you where we are. Change to nighttime setting on the screens here. Yeah, now it's the speed is bouncing around. So this is the arrival time at the top up there. Anywhere from 7 something to goes over 8. There it is. So we've come 49.1 nautical miles in 7 hours 52 minutes, 53 minutes. Average speed 6.2 knots. And there's not much out here. I've already crossed Tybee roads, and luckily all these ships that are going in or whatever there were not moving when I was there. This guy over here is at anchor, so I had a clear shot through there and did it in daylight, but they've got 3 of them heading in. Yeah, it's nowhere near as alarming in daylight, even though it was too foggy to see anything at the time. So no excitement the rest of the way. That's the St. Simon's entrance to Brunswick, Georgia. There, we may see a ship coming out of there. That's the place where a lot of the car carriers come in and out. And then Fernandina isn't that much further past there. So that's the route, and we've got 81 nautical miles left to go. All right, that's all I've got for now. There's 1 or 2 boats, I think, off behind me. Yeah, that's a sailboat, and I thought there was another one coming up. Yeah, there he is. Whoops. Royal Star, that's a 59-foot sailboat. And then Cameo. 52-foot sailboat. And then there's three ahead of me. They came out of, I guess, Port Royal Sound, maybe, and back in South Carolina, and have been ahead all day. But anyway, nobody's right next to, or right behind, or right in front of me, and that's the way I like it. At night, especially. All right, well, I hope you're enjoying these videos. Hope everyone is doing well, and if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Hit the little bell button, and you'll be notified when I post another video. The plan at this point is get fuel. And that's another reason I'm trying to make an 8 o'clock arrival, because that's when the Marina opens at Fernandina Beach. I'd like to go ahead and get fuel, and then I think I'll just anchor out there. So it's supposed to be wind blowing in the mid-20s. I think later tomorrow and through the rest of the weekend down here, so I may just stay put for a day or two, and then head towards St. Augustine, and we'll play it by ear from there. All right, that's all I have.